Now at 6, the first set of unofficial election results are in. We have the latest numbers in the special election to fill the empty seat on the San Diego County Board of Supervisors.
And a new round of sweeping tariffs hit overnight. How China is responding this morning. Plus, bad news for the San Diego Padres. The players now on the injured list.
You're watching CBS 8 Mornings at 6.
Thanks for joining us here at 6 a.m. on this Wednesday. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Neda Irampour. And lately we've had the kind of weather that just makes me feel guilty being inside.
Right,
like,
yes, gotta get out there.
I can't take a nap. I need to go out there.
Enjoy. I think you're not alone. Let's check in with Evan Ronnie and see if that's going to be the case for the rest of this week here.
You know what I did yesterday?
What?
I walked over to the Lafayette.
Yeah.
It's $20 and you get a pool pass.
Amazing.
And you can use the lounge chairs and the towels.
Your Tuesday
That was my
afternoon.
Tuesday.
You were
literally
in summer mode.
I was like, it is early April and it's
Amazing.
already summer in San Diego. It was hot out there.
Yeah.
It's going to be another hot one out there. You can expect the warmth to be felt this afternoon and for many afternoons to come, all the way through about Friday. Those temperatures are going to keep climbing. There is a bit of fog out there to start off the morning, a dense fog advisory, especially applicable down to the South Bay up through downtown. And this is the view outside, that marine layer you can kind of make out in the background, just kind of pulling its way back ever so slowly. By the afternoon, we should be at 71 degrees at the coast, 83 inland, 80 for the mountains, and boy, those deserts, 97 degrees, very close to that high of 100 that's in the forecast for Friday. Coming up, we'll talk more about the warmth expected through the end of the week and what we'll see even beyond that into this weekend and next week as well. Back to you.
Be legendary. You watch legendary in a positive way.
This morning, American shoppers bracing for economic impact. At 9:01, this was last night our time, tariffs on imports from dozens of countries went into effect. Right now, financial markets are sinking this morning. We're talking about the Asian and European shares sliding overnight.
President Trump's tariffs include an additional 84% bump for Chinese goods, but we're just learning here this morning that China is raising its retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. to a matching 84%. That's up from 34%. CBS 8's Regina Yerita live downtown with the latest on this trade battle here. Regina?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Well, we know that President Donald Trump's latest new tariffs hit nearly all U.S. Trading partners with new levies and raised import taxes on Chinese goods to 104%. Now, this morning, we're already seeing retaliatory measures. Just hours after those new tariffs took effect, China pushed back. The country is now hiking its levies on U.S. imports to more than 80% starting on April 10th. And that likely means electronics and clothing coming from China could get even more expensive. The Trump administration announced sweeping new tariff policies last week and warned other countries not to retaliate. Unlike China, some nations, including Japan and South Korea, seem willing to negotiate on tariffs. Leaders of the two countries are headed to the U.S. to delegate. Vietnam and Zimbabwe have said they'd scrap tariffs on U.S. products. And the EU has said it will eliminate tariffs on industrial goods and cars if the U.S. does the same. Imported produce seems to be largely spared. Much of that has to do with most of it coming from Canada and Mexico, which have been exempted. But food industry experts warn some prices may rise quickly for certain staples. There's also concern U.S. businesses will pass on some or all of the cost to American consumers. President Trump pointed out companies do not have to pay duties on American-made products, but critics say the trouble is building factories and changing supply chains could take time and money.
Families will pay more for food and for pharmaceuticals. They'll pay more for cars and gasoline and clothing, everything.
And President Donald Trump's tariffs could end up being the largest tax increase in U.S. history. We'll have more on his trading policies in the next half hour. But for now, Eric and Neda, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we've been talking a lot about tariffs here. What are tariffs? How do they work? Let's break it down with some help from economic advisory firm Oxford Economics. Tariffs are taxes that a government places on things that get imported from another country. They're typically calculated by a percentage. Tariffs have several purposes. First, they help boost a government's income. Second, they can be used to pressure companies and manufacturers to make things here rather than bringing them in from somewhere else. Tariffs can also be used as leverage against a foreign government. So who pays the tariffs? Ultimately you, the consumer, since tariffs impose taxes on items that come into a country. Prices on those items rise, and that cost trickles down to those who are buying those items. Eventually, this could force consumers to turn to products that are produced domestically because they're indeed cheaper. Netta?
So let's expand a little bit further on that. For example, let's say I'm a manufacturer in a foreign country and I make pistons that go into engines for cars. Well, because of tariffs, prices for my pistons go up for the manufacturer that assembles engines. In turn, that manufacturer may decide to go ahead and buy cheaper pistons that are produced domestically, meaning my piston sales will fall. How much impact tariffs have depends on how much of the country's products are sold in other countries, especially to the country that imposes that tariff. For instance, about a third of Canada's economy is from exports, and about a fifth of that comes from selling goods to the United States.
A heads up to homeowners here, the second installment of your property taxes is due tomorrow. If you don't pay by then, you will pay more in delinquency penalties. That includes a 10% penalty and a $10 fee. You can go pay your second installment online. The county is expecting property tax payments to generate a record $9.1 billion. And this morning, we are one step closer to determining who will represent San Diego County's District 1 on the Board of Supervisors.
The latest results are in here this morning. CBS 8's Chris Grow live outside the county administration building to give us a look at these early numbers. Chris, what happened?
Yeah, so it looks like Mayor John McCann is leading with more than 40% of the vote, with Imperial Beach Mayor Paloma Aguirre right behind the Chula Vista mayor. The only thing is one of them needed to get 51% or more of the vote to be declared the winner. So both candidates appear likely ready to move to a runoff. It's one of the things that they spoke about as well, too, as well as what makes them the best candidate for this District 1 seat.
Ready for true leadership that's going to put working families first. That's going to give a voice to the voiceless. That is going to fight the Trump agenda.
Our Bayfront has $4.5 billion of investment. We're going to be opening. And so you just heard from Imperial Beach Mayor Paloma Aguirre and then, of course, Chula Vista Mayor John McCann. They appear to be the ones who will be headed to that runoff. Right now, McCann has about 43.58% of the vote that has been counted, and Aguirre with 31.62%. Now, Aguirre has the backing of the county's Democratic Party as well as the county's two largest labor unions. She says her top priority will be trying to tackle and fix the South County sewage crisis, something that has been her number one priority as mayor of Imperial Beach. And then you have Mayor John McCann, who has pointed to his fiscal responsibility, balancing the city of Chula Vista's budget, as well as bringing in thousands of private sector jobs through the expansion and construction of the Gaylord Pacific Resort, as well as his track record, he says, on public safety. Now, the reason why this seat has had so much focus is not just because of the abrupt resignation of former Supervisor Nora Vargas in December after winning an election, but because even though these are nonpartisan positions, we still know that we have two Democrats and two Republicans right now on the board, and whoever it is that wins this seat will be that tie-breaking vote. Now, the runoff, again, we're looking at early returns. Both candidates, though, say that they are looking towards the summer, and when that will happen, it'll be the summer. That's when that runoff election between those two top vote getters will occur. Eric and Netta.
All right, Chris, thank you. And today, the San Diego County Board of Supervisors will take up a proposal to delay the county's budget approval process until after that new District 1 supervisor takes office. Supervisors were supposed to discuss the proposal yesterday, but ran out of time during their meeting. Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp has proposed a two-step process. It would have the board pass a recommended budget by the traditional June 30th deadline. Then the full board would vote on an official budget in October. A La Mesa councilwoman is holding a town hall today on a proposed battery storage facility. Now, this proposed facility will be on an empty plot of land on El Paso Street near Lake Murray. According to developers and their website, this project would help keep electricity on during peak times or heat waves. The developer claims this will help La Mesa residents by reducing blackouts and provide clean, renewable energy. Councilwoman Laura Lothian says the facility would be within 100 feet from houses and a school. Today's town hall is meant to explain the project and to hear concerns from residents. It will take place at Brew Coffee Spot at 5:30 p.m.
And now 6:10. Can we get back to this Lafayette pool?
Yeah, I mean, I was
Was
amazed
it
by it.
busy on Tuesday or pretty
You know, what I was amazed by was the number of people like taking calls for work on the lounge. I was like,
laptops
yep,
ready.
just like laptops with like the cocktail in their hand. I was like, this is so San
Interesting
Diego.
how on the Zoom call they didn't want to show their video.
Yeah, right. Weirdly enough. No, but
the
I will
audio
say
on that
apparently
one.
it's like seasonal rates. So I always thought it was going to be much more than $20, but no, pool pass is $20 for the day. So I was like, okay. But it was pretty busy. It got busier and busier as the evening came around. I was there, you know, we get off a little early, so I was there at like 1. But as the evening approached, it started to get a lot more busy. Great opportunity. Head to the beach, head to the pool, find a way to spend time outside. Grab the blanket and go to the park. We've got temperatures in the 70s this afternoon, 80s across our inland valleys. A little bit of fog out there as we make our way through the morning. Move that live look over a bit from Mount Soledad, and you can make out a little bit more of that layer of fog, but also the approaching sunrise that's coming in about 15 minutes or so. By the time we get to the afternoon, 71 along the coast, 83 across our inland valleys, 80 for the mountains. Take a look at what our comparisons are like across the country out the door right now. San Diego is at 56 degrees. It's the warmest spot on the west coast to be right now. And if you look off toward Salt Lake City, 45 right now, along with Lincoln. Des Moines is at 43. You have 30s up in Detroit, Chicago, Philly. Boston's at freezing at 32 right now. So some cold air out there with the exception of what we have in San Diego, where we're doing quite all right in the 50s. Going to be a little bit of a breeze in the afternoon in Julian. You can see how that picks up past about 2 p.m. towards about 20 miles per hour. It's something we've been seeing all week. No change from that in the forecast. And it looks like today through Friday, we're still expecting the warmest temperatures to come about before a gradual cool down arrives into the upcoming weekend. Right now, it does seem like Friday will be our peak heat, but not too much different from today and tomorrow before those much cooler slides and temperatures come for Saturday and Sunday. Let's check in on traffic. Right now, your roads are pretty mild out there. I will say there's a little bit of that road weather index popping up with fog as we start off the day. I'll take you down to the South Bay where the only crash on the map has occurred. This is lane blocked with a crash on the 54 westbound right before the 5 freeway. So earlier it was causing delays on the westbound lanes. It seems like there's not as much of a delay on the westbound lanes as there is already now on the northbound 5. So that's where you might run into some trouble on the morning commute. Checking in on your border wait times this morning. We're seeing a 115-minute wait at the San Ysidro Port of Entry, almost 2 hours in total. Otay Mesa Port of Entry going to take you about an hour and a half.